Introduce my audience. Please the person, Chanel Johnson and Delashay Felton. 1. The graduation test accurately measures knowledge you acquire in high school. Understanding the brain and how people learn and think progressed enormously throughout the years. However, standardized tests have remained the same. A standardized test is any examination that administered and scored in a predetermined standard manner. Throughout high school, you are given many different tests that determine how well you do in certain subjects. High school gives you many challenges to prove that you are ready to graduate and receive a high school diploma. Therefore, should one mandated graduation test decide whether you graduate or not after 4 long years of hard work? In my opinion, standardized tests should not be the determining factor of a graduating individual. According to Los Angeles Post, in 2001, a study published by the Brookings Institution found that 50 to 80% of year-over-year test scores improvements were temporarily caused by fluctuations that had nothing to do with long-term changes in learning. So, are mandated school tests unfair? Graduation tests can seem to be unfair in a variety of different ways. Testing anxiety is that feeling of nervousness that some individuals receive, which impairs them from focusing on the test. Test anxiety affects many, even those students who excel in school. Therefore, standardized tests would not be an appropriate measuring tool to determine if a student should graduate or not. For example, students that have the test anxiety and are given a standardized test can score low on the graduation test but can excel in classroom settings. There are some students who don't do as well throughout high school but can excel on a standardized test without any testing anxiety and get to graduate based off of one test score. This can be somehow misleading as to what students have really achieved throughout the high school term. Graduation should not be based upon one certain standardized test because there are many other aspects to high school that are completely much more relevant than just a simple graduation test. Standardized tests are accurately measuring knowledge you acquire in high school. It measures students' knowledge by making them take a test. Are we inaccurately measuring what they know or more of what they guess of how well of a good guesser they are? According to Maria Fusaro, a doctoral student in human development and psychology, standardized tests are designed to enable us to compare the performance of a student in a relatively inefficient way. How much can tests tell us about what students actually know? Standardized tests measure only small portions of what makes education meaningful. According to late education researchers Gerald W. Bracey, qualities that standardized tests do not measure are creativity, critical thinking, motivation, and persistence. In conclusion, high school graduation tests are unjust and are precisely measuring knowledge that students receive throughout their high school years. Each student's performance in test taking are different. These differences can affect individuals in different levels. Testing anxiety is an example as to why standardized tests can be an indefinite way of testing someone's knowledge. Graduation should not be based upon one certain standardized test because there are more ways to high school that are completely unrelated to what graduation tests measure. Standardized tests are inaccurate and determine only a tiny fraction of an individual's knowledge all throughout high school. Therefore, these performance tests should be banned completely from graduation requirements and should stop making the long 4 years of high school way more complicated than it should be.